What's up, guys? Today in the video I am going to tell you a story called My Life. And right now I'm going to start off at the year 2005. I'm going to make a little series out of these videos. And I'm going to maybe do one every other day, maybe every day, who knows. But I want to give you guys what it was like growing up for me. I mean, yeah, it might not sound that bad to some of you guys, but it was pretty horrific for me to grow up with and have to deal with now. But where do I begin? Years 2005. I was 5 years old. My mom just moved into this new apartment on her own, and she met this native guy. You know, this native guy seemed pretty cool in some fashion. Had the toys, had the cool Xbox, the very first Xbox, of course. And well, I was still living at my grandparents at the time when my mom wasn't fully moved in, and my mom was the type to not really keep me there. It was if I have to take care of you, I will, type of situation. But we moved to Clear Lake, Wisconsin, and things started to take a turn, I guess. I noticed that this guy, for being only 5, really drank a lot, and it was always Canadian Windsor. It was always whiskey. I mean, this guy was a weirdo. I mean, this guy. So I had this. There was small one bedroom apartment, and we had a couch in the living room. That's where I had to sleep. That was my bed. And my mom and her boyfriend got the bedroom. That's where I noticed things were taking a turn for worse. Bottles were always being hidden everywhere. I mean, I can go check the closet, there were bottles in there. I can go check in the dresser drawers, there were bottles in there. Well, I know that things got really bad one day as I came home from school, and this guy was loaded. I mean, he was loaded. And him and mom were arguing all night. Well, that night he took a hammer, like your normal hammer, and the ones with the wood handle, he flipped it around with the metal part in his hand, and he clocks my mom with it right in the head. My mom has a big old gouge in her head like that just from being clocked. Cops came. He went to jail for 3 days, but you'll never believe it, he came back. So a couple weeks after that, we got a call about my mom's mom, my grandmother. My grandmother passed away, and that took a really big toll on me because me and my grandmother were really close. My grandmother was like a second mom to me. She was that person who would be there when I needed somebody, or if I wasn't in a healthy situation with my mom, my grandma would take me in. Well, I lost my grandmother, and for being 5 years old and not really understanding what happened, or not really understanding death, as I guess what I'm saying, took a really big toll on me. It hurt me. I cried for a while. Like I said, I didn't understand what death was. So a couple weeks after, I asked if I could go to grandma's and see grandma, but I couldn't. Mom told me that grandma is no longer here anymore. And that really put a big hole in my heart. And you know what, till this day, how many years later, I'm 23 now, there's still a big hole there. I wish she was around. I wish she could have seen what I've become. But a couple months down the road, I got some pretty exciting news that I was going to be a big brother. Well, after being told I was going to be a big brother, made me excited because I'm I was the youngest before my sister was born. So I have 3 older brothers on my dad's side, or 2 older brothers on my dad's side, and 2 older siblings on my mom's side. So I was the youngest in everything. So really sucks. I'm still the youngest on my mom's side, but they told me that I was going to be a big brother to a little sister, and I was so happy, so pleased. Well, skip the year up to 2006. We've been living at the Clear Lake apartment now for a year now, and at this point you think things would have gotten better, right? Huh. You might as well turn around and go back home, because it hadn't. At this point, I've started to get hit. I started to get smacked around. I would get told to stand tall for the man, and that would mean come up and stand in front of him and take whatever he's gonna give you. Who knows? Sometimes it could have been booze. Sometimes he'd hold the fucking marijuana pipe up to my mouth and tell me to suck, being only 5 or 6 years old. And I think that's where a lot of my problems, come from now, and like in the future to me now. But he would tell me stand tall, so I'd come up, put both hands to my side, look at him straight, and then he would tell me at ease, and then I had to put my arms behind my back. And if I didn't, poof. Besides the physical abuse happening, let's start the molestation now. So there'd be times where my mom would go to work, I'd come home from school, and just being a young kid, my days, if I wasn't outside playing, because of like rain or weather, whatever, I would go inside my mom's bedroom and watch a movie and TV, because he was on the living room watching TV. So I go to the living room and put a movie on. Well, if I end up falling asleep, this guy would crawl into bed with me and stick his hands down my pants and start playing with me. And he would start kissing me all over, make me grab him. I told my mom about it the next day, and you know what? My mom didn't do nothing. My mom just sit there and let that happen to me. Couple days later, he got really drunk again. Started this time going in on the neighbors, pounding on everyone's door, and he'd come back into our house, and he would tell me to hold the door shut so the cops couldn't come in. That looked really good too. And well, after that happened, my mom decided me to move me to my stepmom's with my dad. And you know what? Things weren't going great for me there either. When I got moved there, our stepmom and dad were having problems. I guess I'm putting this out there. They had drug problems together. They got in trouble. I ended up living with my grandmother, my stepmom's mom, and I ended up having to stay with them for a while. Stepmom went to treatment to go get her drug problem fixed, because she found out she was pregnant with my sister, so she went to rehab. And I stayed with my grandma, went to visit her every so often. I would go visit my mom for a couple hours, and then I'd have to go back home. And even those visits weren't, pleasant either. I mean, the dude was still a dick, was still an asshole, but I'm still hurt that my mom chose him over me. But things got better when I moved in with my grandmother. I started getting better at school. I started focusing harder in school, doing my homework, because before then, every assignment that my teacher always gave me, I always just open my desk up and place it flat on top. But schoolwork was getting done, homework. My grandma, I'm gonna say this in the nicest way. My grandma was the nicest drill sergeant I could have in my life, I guess. She wouldn't make me do the stand tall for the man thing, you know, but she was strict on everything, how everything got done. She was pretty strict woman, but she took care of me while they were gone. Raised me, taught me pretty much a lot of things that a kid my age at the time should know about. Well, as time passed on, my stepmom got out of treatment, and my dad was still, the party goer drinker. And that's what my big problem was with my dad. Like, my dad did drugs, yeah, but he wasn't like a big drug addict, like he was a person, like, if they were there, he did it. He wasn't the person to go out and buy, but he was a big drinker, and he was gone a lot when I was young, just because of drinking, going out and partying. And he decided to get clean for a little bit because it was around the time that my sister was going to be born. Well, my sister was born November 13th. Changed my life forever. Yeah, I get it, that's supposed to be with your kid, but this was my little sister. I was so happy. And she was born, and I got to go to the hospital after I was done with school that day. Grandma picked me up, and I went and met my little sister, Rebecca Ray Morden. And I held her for the first time. I looked at her little baby face, and I says, you know what? This is the most beautiful baby I've ever seen in my life. And she was a great baby. I enjoyed her as a baby. I miss her as a baby. For what she is now, I miss her. But things started to go better at the time that I thought. Stepmom got her own place, and we lived in a house in Clear Lake as well. So I was just a couple blocks from where my mom and them lived. But, again, didn't get to have everything that I wanted with my mom because my mom chose her men over me. But this is enough for part 1. And please click subscribe, hit like, and I will see you guys for part 2. Pay attention. Thank you.